What is going on, everybody? This is another vlog. This is the third one we're doing, and the point of vlogs, if you haven't watched the previous two, is to update you guys on the channel, talk about ranked play, maybe talk about a little news. But this one, as you can see from the thumbnail, is going to be about an update to the channel. As you can tell, I might be a little tired or somber. This is going to get a little personal. I'm going to keep this as impersonal, though, as I can. And yeah, so let's just get into it. I apologize for the inconsistency that I've been having over the past 2 weeks. My goal has been, and I don't think I've actually ever met this goal, but a video every weekday. Usually I probably hit about 3 a week. And the idea with this channel is, right now it's a hobby. I'm not trying to make money off this. I'm not trying to be anything more than just playing Hearthstone for fun, giving content to anyone who wants to watch it, and that's it. So, and the reason that the hobby had to be put aside for a second was because some personal stuff happened, mainly in my job. Everything is fine now, but I am a teacher. I am not a certified teacher yet. I'm finishing that up in June. But because I'm not certified, I'm considered temporary, it's very easy to push me out of the position by someone who is certified. And that kind of happened last week. And then there was a scramble for myself to look for jobs. And then I was kind of hired back for a month, and then I was demoted to a sub position. And I told my principal, look, I like working with you. I like working with your staff, but I can make sub pay more consistently someplace else. So I've done that. That's all taken care of. I will still be applying for positions, but I will be focusing on completing my graduate work, which should be the focus right now anyways. And the second thing that's kind of happened, sadly, I have a great dog. His name is Job, but he is older, and he is kind of sick right now. And earlier this week, we had to get him to the vet, and that's been taking up a lot of mental energy, and I haven't really felt like playing a lot of Hearthstone. That being said, I have had a pretty decent rank. I'm at Platinum 5 right now. I've been playing my own zoo list. I've been playing Control Demon Hunter, some Goose Druid, but I've had a lot of success with Bloody Faces Miracle Rogue. So we'll keep grinding. There will be some videos coming out next week, but we are hopeful about my dog. But I hope you all understand that personal life and professional life do take precedent over this. So I will try to have stuff recorded in advance in the future, but there may be lulls sometimes because personal and professional life do get in the way of habitual life. But thank you for understanding. I would like to also thank everyone for subscribing so far. We are at 15 subscribers, which is awesome. And yeah, we're going to keep just going from here. Let's get to 30 soon. So that all being said, let's get into my top favorite legendaries. Top favorite is not a good word. I'm an English teacher. I should know better than this. But what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about my favorite legend from each class, including the neutrals. So this will be my 11 favorite legendaries. There's going to be very little editing in this video, so if I stumble over my own words, I apologize. And for once, you're not going to have music in the background. I want to get a video out. I want you guys to get some content, and I wanted to give you guys an update. So I apologize that this is kind of ramshackle, but let's get into the legendaries. The first one we have here is Altruist, the Outcast. It's a 4-mana 4/2 that says, after you play the left or rightmost card in your hand, deal 1 damage to all enemies. I like this card a lot because it really shows how Outcast works. It's the only legend I think that has an Outcast effect, but I think it is a little overtuned with the dealing damage to enemy face as well. So I think if this stays in the classic set, this will need to be adjusted so it's a little more balanced. But right now I've had a lot of fun playing this. I have a lot of fun against longer games, Priest, where you Skull of Gul'dan once or twice, play this, and then burn their face. It's a really powerful card. It's really fun, and that's a blanket statement. All the legendaries I've picked are fun, but I think Altruist I've picked for Demon Hunter because he exemplifies how Outcast works, and it takes advantage of Outcast, especially for newer players. For Druid, we have the only quest on this list, I believe also only legendary spell. It is Untapped Potential. It says, end 4 turns with unspent mana. And you get a reward that activates your choose 1 effects as 1 effect. So if you have a Hidden Oasis, for example, which heals 12 and summons a 6/6, that or is replaced with and. I really like this card because of the deck building potential I feel like a lot of quests, especially from Uldum, don't really give you a lot of endgame benefit or make your whole deck better. The Shaman quest comes to mind, but this one, after you stall in the early game, you can just play a bunch of value. A lot of your cards get more beneficial, and this came out last year. You had cards like War Leader Lodi, who had choose one. He had 4 different effects. It was really cool. And you had Keeper Saldaris, which if you played a choose one spell, you got both the effects in your hand. So this created a lot of value. It was a lot of fun to play. And unfortunately, I didn't play this deck a ton, and this is kind of when I stopped playing Hearthstone for a bit. But if this card comes back into competitive meta between now and next rotation, I'll be very happy. Next we have Rockdalar. It's one of the 2 legendary weapons on this list, and why is this on here? It's a 7 mana 4/2 that says Battle Cry. If your deck has no minions, fill your hand with Hunter spells. Sounds pretty bad. But Spell Hunter was one of my favorite decks to play when it came out, using the secrets to create value with the Spellstone, getting cards that benefited from having no spells in your deck, and then just having late game burn with Kill Command, Release the Hounds, and Rexar was just overpowered. This helped you find that extra reach, and the 4 damage each turn for 2 turns helped close the gap. It was just a lot of, again, fun to play, and I really wish more decks, aside from Spell Mage, which I do like playing a lot, had the benefit of having deck restrictions aside from Highlander. I think this is a very unique card, and it's probably was really one of the most unique cards when it came out. Next we have Stargazer Luna from the Boomsday Project. And this is a 3 mana 2/4 that says after you play the rightmost card in your hand, draw a card. This was a really good combo activator, but more importantly, this is a really good tempo card. You played this with 1 or 2 Sorcerer's Apprentice, played a whole bunch of discounted spells, drew a bunch of cards, and burned your opponent out. I really like this card more than I did with had the Legendary, that Luna's Pocket Galaxy. I felt that pushed, especially at 5 mana, pushed Mage over the edge too much and just made it unfair, even though you could draw a whole bunch of 1 mana cards. They're obviously supposed to synergize, but I like this card more as a tempo deck card, a Cyclone Mage, which I think is the deck this fit in. I just felt this was super powerful, again, you can take a drink every time I say it, fun to play with responsibly. If you are under the age of the legal drinking age, wherever you're watching, do not. But this card was super fun and enabled a lot of Cyclone decks, and it's one of the cards I kind of wish was still in Standard. We have Lyra the Sun Shard. She is a 5 mana 3/5 Priest Elemental that says whenever you cast a spell, add a random Priest spell to your hand. This was a really great card. I didn't say fun. Great card because this is when I was first learning Hearthstone. I didn't have really any bias. I tried to play a whole bunch of decks. I tried Reno Lock. I remember that from Mean Streets of Gadget Zan when I first started playing. Some Hand Lock, some Jade Rogue, some Quest Rogue, mid-range Shaman. But Priest had Lyra the Sun Shard, which was a really interesting combo deck where you kind of just it was like a miracle deck. You just played this, you played low-cost spells, and there was a Priest card at the time, which I'm forgetting right now, but it was a 2 mana 2/3 that discounted your spells by 1, like Sorcerer's Apprentice. And you either dug to find damage, or you just made a bunch of big cards with a randomly generated spells. I don't know if this card would be broken if it came out now. We kind of have a version of this, Sethic Veilweaver, but you need to play a spell that targets a minion. So I would like to see more cards like this, or at least more Miracle Enablers that aren't just Miracle Rogue, which is just making Questing Adventure and Edwin Van Cleef as big as they can. I'd like more cards like this that just add value to your hand, but maybe right now is not the time for that. For Paladin, we have the 3 mana 2/2 Wicker Flame Burn Bristle from Mean Streets of Gadget Sand. He has Divine Shield, Taunt, and Lifesteal. This card is probably the most basic card that I could have picked. Why did I pick this one? Well, I remember around the time of Cobalt and Catacombs, there was a really aggressive Paladin deck that ran Call to Arms, which was at the time, a 5 mana recruit. That means play from your deck 3 minions with 2 attack or less. And you'd often pull this one because it was just good. And the Divine Shield Taunt protected your minions. The Lifesteal healed you. This card I also played in a mid-range Death Rattle Paladin deck in Knights of the Frozen Throne, which is a bizarre deck to play. I feel weird saying it, but I got a lot of value from buffing your Death Rattle minions. And this was one of the cards you would buff because he would stick around for a turn, and he would just get big, and he would heal you. You ran a Zoth in that deck. The deck was a ton of fun. If I can ever find old decks that I played, I will definitely do a video on them. And this guy enabled a lot of that aggression and mid-ranginess. For Rogue, this is one of the most recent cards. We have another one from the same set, is Shadow Jeweler Hanar. I actually played this in my Miracle Rogue last time I hit Legend, which I'll never stop talking about the first time I hit Legend, so get used to it. He's a 2-mana 1/4 that says after you play a secret, discover a secret from a different class. I like this card for the same reason I like Lyra the Sun Shard. It adds a lot of value to your hand, but with this card you get to pick the value, and usually you're going to pick a card that helps this survive, strengthens this, but you can also pick cards that disrupt your opponent like Freezing Trap. And you can just kind of pop off throughout the turn. And with other secret enablers like Blackjack, Stunner, it just makes this card stronger. This card used to be a 1-mana, 2-mana 1/5, which was a little nuts. I think it's a little more in line now. But I would like more cards in Hearthstone that do this sort of thing. Create a bunch of value and give you control over the value, like this or like Lyra the Sun Shard. For Shaman, we have the one and the only Shudderwalk, a 9-mana 6/6 that says Battle Cry. Repeat all other battle cries from cards you played this game. Targets chosen randomly. This card was really good for two reasons. Well, the main reason was that this gave Shaman a late game closer that just kind of created a ton of value and did a whole bunch of powerful things. Right now, Shaman doesn't really have that. This was really good in Galakrond Shaman. I was not playing during the early days of Descent of Dragons, but I hear that Shaman was nuts weeks 1 and 2 of that expansion. The other thing this did when it first came out was have an OTK. It either killed your opponent because it got them to 0 or because it just bored them to death because the animations were so long. Thankfully, after the first week and a half, they fixed that. But this card just had a ton of viability, done a ton of variance, and was able to push Shaman into a really competitive area, which it's not been since. And now we're getting to my favorite class, Warlock. And for this one, we have Blood Reaver Gul'dan. He's the only hero card on this list. He is a 10 mana, gain 5 armor, battle cry, summon all friendly demons that died this game. This card's awesome. This card was in all my decks after it came out of Knights of the Frozen Throne. My favorite deck was in this. It was Heavy Control Warlock. It ran this, Skull Minari, Void Lords, Lord Godfrey, Rin the First Disciple, Norm Faratus. It just disrupted your opponent, controlled the game really well, and it was really good because you go late game with this card. When you become this hero, also you get the hero power, deal 3 damage with lifesteal to anything. So this just made your late game fatigue so much more viable, and Warlock can't really do that right now. Warlock either taps itself to death or gets to the end, and if you haven't been comboed out because you're playing against the quest, you lose. Right now, Warlock doesn't really have a ton of late game control, unfortunately, but this card was just awesome. It was great in Q block, where you summoned a bunch of Doom Guards, ran your opponent over, summoned Void Lords to defend yourself. I loved it. We need more of this in Warlock. Warlock has a bunch of instant legendaries that are just not viable because those archetypes are not pushed strong enough, but this is such a universally good card that it does not need to push a specific archetype. And for Warrior, we have Bulwark of Azzinoth, the other legendary weapon. It is a 3-mana, 1-attack weapon, 4 durability that says whenever your hero would take damage, this loses 1 durability instead. And I really like this card because it's interesting. This card kind of doesn't push an archetype so much as it kind of stands control up, even though it's not seeing a lot of play right now. Bomb Warrior is more powerful. I've seen this run a little bit in Big Warrior, which has fallen off, and I've not seen any Control Warrior. And I wish this would be run, because it's a really interesting card with a unique effect that we just haven't seen in Hearthstone, except for that animated armor, which came out in one of the adventures. I don't know. I'd like to see this played more, But I feel like if it was, it would be really annoying to play against, especially with Horde Pillager, which would just resurrect this weapon. And for neutrals, we have N'Zoth the Corruptor. 10 mana, 5/7, Battle Cry. Summon your Death Rattle minions that died this game. I love this card. I love cards that do big swing turns at 10 mana that do fun, take another drink things. One thing I really liked about this card is that it made that control Warlock deck I was talking about, but it also was in my own homebrew Ungoro Jade Rogue, which was the first time I ever hit rank 10. I will never stop talking about that either. Rogue, I always hit milestones with. It's bizarre. But this card, when you resurrect a Death Rattle, especially Jade cards that just make a bigger man, it's really good because your opponent kills it, kills the board, and then there's still stuff left. And I like all the Death Rattle stuff that's allowed to happen because of N'Zoth. Now, like I said with Gul'dan, I like to see more cards that resurrect. I know Hadronox is in the game for a while. Hadronox not so much because taunts are really annoying, but maybe there's another way to do this that we'll see in the future. Maybe a N'Zoth retrain like Mecha'thun. That being said, I'm really excited for the future of Hearthstone. I'm excited for the future of this channel. Again, I'd like to thank everyone for the support so far. Please like and subscribe, and don't feel sorry for me that I've had a very hectic, rough past week. I'm going to get through it like I always do. And we'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. And if not, I'll see you guys Monday with some new videos and hopefully with some friends. I have made friends in Hearthstone. Shocking. But guys, that's going to do it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sitting through this list. And I appreciate it so much. So I will see you all in the next video. Stay awesome. See ya.